I've never known what a nervous breakdown is, but coaching him almost daily, I feel like I'm going to have a nervous breakdown.
That's Rick Pitino talking about Russ Smith, and he's not the only one having a nervous breakdown. Our crew is having a nervous breakdown today because we're missing a member. Hello and welcome to the Red and Blue Review. I'm Howie Lindsay, and this is Daryl Bird of the Cat's Paws.
Absolutely. The warden is away. The inmates are in charge of the asylum. Hang on, boys and girls. We don't know what's going to happen in the next 30 minutes. Believe me. Take on Louisville today. You lose to South Florida. Really, Howie? South Florida? Are you kidding me? And another 50-point game in the Big East Conference, that conference of all conferences. Here's Howie. I know he'll be kind to Kentucky. He always is.
Oh, I'm always kind to Kentucky, but for South Florida, oh, brutal. But in Kentucky, I mean, what do you criticize? I mean, they're beating everybody. They're #1 in the country, all that kind of thing. One issue, your #1 recruit in the next class, Shabazz Muhammad, may or may not be eligible, according to a CBS report. I just don't know. It could be interesting to watch over the next couple months.
Yeah, we've got that. Of course, it won't matter if Michael Kidd-Gilchrist happens to stick around. That won't matter. We've got that so much more in our lightning round coming up, presented by the Kentucky Office of Highway Safety. Kentucky Office of Highway Safety reminds you to click it or ticket. Moving into the Who's Hot for Kentucky. Coach John Calipari says that Kentucky's managed to go the entire season with only 1 loss, but they've actually had even fewer bad practices.
You know, we talked today about this team in general, but I told John Robick, how many bad practice days have we had? We probably had over 100 and some practice days. Maybe 1 or 2, and it's hard for me to remember. How many games did we just play flat this year? Really remember any. I mean, now the other team, you know, and again, these kids aren't machines, and they're not computers, and they're trying, and they know they're up against it every game they play. Someone's going to come out and play their brains out. So I'm really proud of all of these guys.
Yeah, to me, that's a fascinating point, and you always have to remind yourself of this team how young they are, and yet they don't have any bad games. They really haven't come out, and you walk away at the end of the game saying, oh my gosh, they stunk it up start to finish. How in the world did they manage to win that game? They've had a few slow starts. They've gotten into trouble a little bit. Darius Miller has bailed them out. Some other players have had key games. And the thing you got to love, and maybe it's why they are consistently good in practice and in games, a different leading scorer potential every night out. It's pretty amazing.
Daryl, early on in the season, you noted that Michael Kidd-Gilchrist has a different attitude, and that the rest of the team may follow along. How big of a factor is he to this team's success?
I think you point out, why are there no bad practices? It's going to be 100% Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. We were looking through some old stuff recently and found an interview with John Calipari in September, before all this even started. He said, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist is a warrior. He's the hardest worker I've ever seen in my life. He will lead these practices. He will either drag everybody along in practice or he's going to leave them behind. Clearly, he has drug along the program.
Well, who's hot for Louisville is definitely Kyle Kuric. He's one of the few guys on Louisville's roster that actually has experience in the Big East tournament. And now that we're getting into one-and-done season, his teammates are going to really lean on that experience.
I mean, going into the tournaments is different than the regular season. I mean, it's a single game elimination, so teams play even tougher, even harder than they usually do. So we have to understand that and be able to kind of withstand the storm, and just stay strong and tough to catch.
You know, the trials have already come for this Louisville team in terms of standing strong in the storm like Kyle Kuric was talking about. They've got to figure out better options in scoring. I think Kyle Kuric is certainly one of those. It was good to see Chris Smith, play a little better against South Florida, but they've got to find more scoring options, and they've got to be more rock solid in terms of when adversity strikes, who do you turn to? Kyle Kuric's got to be that leader now that we're getting into one-and-done season.
Yeah, one-and-done, Howie, I got to ask you about that because the odds of winning at Syracuse are pretty slim, I think, and there'll be a lot of losses down the stretch. And, you hear so much talk about the last 10 games. What would it do to U of L's seeding if they were to get bounced in the first round of the Big East?
Oh, that'd be extremely tough because if you think about it, at that point, they would have lost, 4 out of the last 6, 5 out of the last 6. At that point, they'd probably be a 7 seed, somewhere around there, 7 seed. It could even be an 8 seed, depending on how the committee says. So that'd be extremely tough for Louisville. I think they've got to either win at Syracuse or win a couple games in that Big East tournament to protect that seed.
Who is not hot at the University of Kentucky is the fact that John Calipari will tell us there is no such thing as it's my turn. Senior night was held. Eloy Vargas was in the starting lineup. Don't get used to that because Cal will tell you there's no such thing as just being a senior means it's my turn to get a lot of playing time.
There's no such thing in a program I've coached as it's my turn. So Doesn't matter if you're a sophomore, junior, senior, there's no such thing as my turn. Either you play or he plays. And there's no real emotion about it. We're trying to put the best team on the floor and the best players on the floor. And you like to reward, but at the end of the day, it's about performance. And if you have that kind of program, you don't have that competitive fire within, sometimes you're not going to reach the heights your team should reach, in my opinion.
It's a very interesting take, and I don't know how many other coaches are along and how many do it, but Calipari announces it. He announces it to the recruits during the recruiting process. I was talking to him in Bowling Green back during the summer about the potential for this team. You've got the 6 or 7 McDonald's All-Americans, and I'm like, but Cal, you still have one basketball. He said, it works out, and the players know, I don't care what you did last year, it's never my turn. We don't do that. The best players get on the floor.
And who's not hot for Louisville, it's actually a what's not instead of a who's not, and it's end-of-game execution. The fans are going to, of course, talk about the terrible officiating right there at the end of the Louisville game, but Rick Pitino actually says that the Cards actually shot themselves in the foot, including a terrible missed dunk by Shane Bohannon.
No, I don't think it was. I just think they made some poor calls, down the stretch. But it's magnified that game. You're down 3 at your ball and could be down 1. But we also, look, we missed a wide open dunk. I think it was 3 also, wasn't it, at that point? I mean, nobody's there. It's a two-handed wide open dunk, so be down 1 there as well.
When I stole it, it was I was shocked. I saw him at my peripheral. I saw him he was coming toward me. I thought everybody emotionally drained right now, but we'll be in high spirits tomorrow coming to practice. Trying to get this in this game. I let it go too soon.
Oh, my heart just breaks for the kid because he did such a great job on defense. He grabbed the steal, he gets right back up, and he tries to go dunk it, and he thought he was going to get fouled. And how many times have we seen this happen? Guys think they're going to get fouled and miss the shot. And just how brutal. This was a game that Louisville could have won at the end. South Florida certainly stepped to the line, made their free throws, made it really tough on Louisville, but still the Cardinals had chances. They had a couple missed dunks right there at the end. They had some chances to make a big impression right there at the end and take this game away from South Florida and just couldn't get it done. Amazing stat from this game. Louisville shot like 35, 37%, something like that. They only hit 1 out of 4 dunks. Those are the easiest shots in basketball, and they only went 25% on those shots. So just a brutal way to lose for Louisville.
Boy, do we have a buzz for you today. We're talking about the future career in the NBA for a Kentucky player. Now, that's no big deal, except for the fact John Calipari is talking about the NBA career of Eloy Vargas. Really?
Scouts coming to me like, is this another Josh? We're not getting to see him because he's playing behind the Spider-Man there. But, when we finally got to see Josh, we like what we saw. And so my hope is he gets that opportunity to go to Portsmouth and show himself. And at the end of this year, as we finish it out, including this game Thursday, that he shows people that, hey, Swin Nader played behind Walt, all of a sudden has an 11-year career. What I say is you got a 6'10", 6'11 player who can rebound and run the court and is more skilled than you think. You look in the NBA, how many big guys are there? They got 30 teams. You look at all these teams in Europe, and you look at when I said he'd be professional, he will be professional. It may not be the NBA, and it may be the NBA, but someone's going to like his size and what he does.
The one thing I will give Cal credit for, it is the NBA. You cannot teach 6'11". Those guys are hard to come by, so he will get a look. He'll have to do really well at Portsmouth, but there's a lot of reserves. I mean, Jamal McGlure at the end of his career wasn't playing much, but he was knocking around. He was on an NBA roster because he's 6'11". He's not afraid to bang people. He has improved dramatically. Now, saying that, I witnessed his first game in Maui. I was taking photos, so I was like 5 feet away. He got blown by like he was a mannequin standing out there. So to say he's improved dramatically, you got to be careful there. But he has improved. How much more improvement, we'll have to wait and see. And it's probably an overseas career. Interestingly, he said when he's over, it doesn't work out, he wants to teach basketball to little kids, either Miami, maybe back in the Dominican. So he's got his head screwed on right.
I tell you, if Eloy Vargas gets drafted, I just don't know what to do. I mean, at that point, like, what do you do? How do you criticize Cal if he gets Eloy Vargas drafted? Oh, goodness. The buzz at Louisville is certainly Chris Smith. He went 0 against Cincinnati and Pittsburgh, but he went and totally redeemed himself against South Florida.
He just, he's just not getting enough fast. Chris has got to be the product of, he never gets any open looks anymore because we're playing so slow. so they stay on him. He's not a Russ Smith where he takes him off the bounce. If we play fast, he'll get 7 to 10 open shots, but we're not. We're playing too slow, so they just stay at home on him, and he doesn't get good looks. And when he comes off the screens, they jam him a little bit, and he's not great off the bounce.
You know, Chris did have a really tough couple of games. I talked to him after actually both of those games and talked to him about what his mindset was. And I tell you, he's a really tough kid. He's grown up in a tough environment. He's a tough-minded player on the courts, and you just. He has that New Jersey, New York toughness that you want. You know, that's really what you want to see, and that's what you saw against South Florida. He came out and hit a shot later in the game, and then hit another one, and then hit another one, and then hit another one, and ended up being a couple of really big plays for Louisville. And it was great to see Chris Smith break out of that slump, especially on Senior Day. What a cool moment to see he and his family come out there with his dad and his mom and get the flowers. I love Senior Day. I'm a sap for that. And it's cool to see him have that breakout moment.
Totally redeemed yourself. We have a Dumb and Dumber reference. The show has peaked, boys and girls. We now have our Facebook poll brought to you each week by Ken Towery Auto and Tire Care Center. The Red and Blue Crew has a question for Howie. Why Angel Nunez in the game in crunch time? Wayne Blackshear gets 1 minute. I just don't understand Rick Pitino from Byron in Louisville. Howie?
You know, it is difficult to understand sometimes, and I tell you, it's even more difficult when you don't get to see, you know, what's going into practices and how far along Angel Nunez has come and what Wayne Blackshear's going through and all that kind of thing. I still think Wayne Blackshear's hurt. I think he's still struggling with it. Granted, he played a little bit against South Florida, but Angel Nunez, they were looking for some kind of spark. They needed offense. They needed some other shooter out there, and I think that's what was going on with Angel Nunez. But I mean, the poster's kind of right. It's difficult at times to figure out the mechanisms of all those different lineup changes.
Okay, if you've been playing along with us week to week, like we hope you have, you know that Ken Towery Tire and Auto Care has been having a giveaway, 2 tickets to the SEC tournament, 3 nights at the New Orleans Marriott. The drawing has been held. We invite you to go to Ken Towery's Facebook page to find out who won those tickets to the SEC tournament.
Now, after the break, we'll talk about Spider-Man, Rising Stars, and Rick Pitino, why he hates computers. But first, I want to introduce you to Daryl Bird with the Cat's Paws.
Appreciate it, sir. Issue this week being Dynamite Davis. Anthony Davis on the cover of the Cat's Paws as we head into postseason play. Tons of coverage in the magazine as well as catspaws.com next week at the SEC tournament. Then on into March Madness. First stop probably the Yum Center in Louisville. 800-641-3302.
Have you driven a Ford lately? Well, stop by Allstate Ford and test drive a new Edge or Explorer. Or visit us online at allstatetrucks.com. Allstate Ford on the Watterson at Poplar Level Road.
Hi, I'm Kevin Renfro, owner of the Becker Law Office. Our focus is personal injury law. I've been asked if that means just car wrecks. Not at all. We help people who have been injured because of unsafe conditions, product defects, drug side effects, denial of disability benefits, and other tragic injuries. No matter how you've been injured, call the Becker Law Office.
Serious, experienced, results. Call the Becker Law Office for a free evaluation. Just dial 3s.
When you need a truck, Bachman Chevrolet is your truck headquarters. I'm Teresa Bachman. Even during our construction, we have more trucks than any other dealer. Silverado, Colorado, Tahoe, or Suburban, Bachman is your #1 Chevrolet truck dealer. Nobody beats Bachman's price or selection on any Chevrolet, including Traverse and Equinox. Chevrolet has what you need, and Bachman Chevrolet has what you want. Bachman makes the difference.
We're the Secret family. Our family is just like yours.
We have a lot to be thankful for.
We used to take a lot of things for granted, including each other.
Until one day,
when in an instant,
a drunk driver almost took it all away. Now we cherish every moment together.
We have to.
Because we might not be as lucky next time.
What about you? It happened to us.
It can happen to you.
Join the club at Sam Swope Auto Group. When you service a vehicle at any Sam Swope dealership, you automatically become a Service VIP Rewards member. You get member pricing on parts and service, lost key return, and emergency roadside assistance. Plus, you can earn points that qualify you for discounts on your next vehicle purchase, up to $2,500. The best part is becoming a member is free. Become a member today at any Sam Swope dealership. Nobody walks away because everybody saves.
The 2012 Bluegrass Golf Tour Card is available now. Play 8 great courses for one amazing price. Call 502-964-2121 or go to shop21live.com to get yours now. Hurry, they won't last long.
Our What Makes a Champion segment brought to you each week by the home of the champ, the Ali Center. Today, Jenny Conkey says one of the champ's core values is dedication.
Muhammad Ali once said that champions aren't made in gyms. Champions are made from something they have deep inside them, a desire, a dream, a vision. What makes a champion? Dedication. Come learn more at the Ali Center.
DeJuan Wheat was honored with his name up in the rafters this last week, and he said one of the things that made him a champ was not only having family that believed in him and supported him, but also having a coach that believed in him.
I want to thank Coach Scott Davenport, my high school basketball coach. I never forget Coach Davenport telling me when I was 14 years old that I would do special things on the basketball court. So thank you, Coach.
And what a great coach he was. Scott Davenport is absolutely fantastic, one of the best guys in town. And you know, I've been a coach, and other people who have been a coach as well can tell you, if you inspire belief in a kid that, hey, I think you can do this, it's so much more likely that a kid can go out and achieve better things. And that's what Davenport did with DeJuan Wheat, and it worked out perfectly, and certainly made DeJuan Wheat a champion.
Howie, we have Player of the Year.
Right.
We have Cartoon Superheroes. We have the Geek Squad.
Hey.
All coming up right now in our Game Time storylines. You can argue with your friends about who the best superhero of all time is, but when it comes to John Calipari, he'll take Spider-Man.
At the end of the year, he's going to end up taking 200 shots less than all those guys that they're considering. 200 shots less. Yet probably has as big an impact on any of these games. And that's not taking away anything from anybody else because, you know, those other guys are probably just as deserving. But he's had a special year. I mean, what he's done defensively for us, what he's done offensively for us, and he's done it in a way where he's not selfish in any way. He's taken 200 at the end of this run. It'll be 200 less shots. That's a big number, man. You're talking about averaging 5 more points a game, maybe 6. And he's like, the best thing for my team is me to pass it more or get it less, and he's fine with that. Thank you.
In case you didn't catch John Calipari's talking points at that press conference, 200 fewer shots than anybody else who's in Player of the Year contention. It's going to be a very fascinating, interesting to see how this vote plays out. It's almost like the pitcher who wins the Cy Young or pitcher who wins the MVP in baseball. When you say, well, you can't give it to him, his numbers aren't going to look that impressive. You just stack them against some of the Player of the Year candidates who have 18, 19 points per game. But you cannot deny, if you watch this kid, he is changing the way the game is played this season. Anybody that has to go up against Kentucky.
Absolutely. He's a tremendous talent. For Louisville, the Game Time storyline is pushing the pace. If you're a fan of offense, and really who isn't, these last 2 games for Louisville have just been absolutely brutal. Rick Pitino says he's not happy with the pace either.
Keep getting caught in these slow-down half-court games, and it's our own fault because we're not pushing the pace enough. And that's the main thing I told our guys. I said, I understand this time of year, if Cincinnati, South Florida today was in the 40s. But I said, you're not going to get open looks unless we start sprinting the floor and beating the teams down the court.
You know, it's tough for me to say this, but I put the blame in terms of this on Louisville's two strongest players at the beginning of the season, Peyton Siva and Gorky Jang. Gorky Jang is a guy who gets a lot of the rebounds. When you get the rebound, push it up floor as quickly as you possibly can. If you're the point guard and you get the ball, push it up court as quickly as you possibly can. Control that pace. And so, really, I think your center and your point guard are crucial in terms of controlling the pace. And in both cases, I just don't think Louisville's done that very well. I think they've fallen into the trap of the way Pittsburgh wants to play, the way South Florida wants to play. Louisville's got to impose their will a little bit more on these opponents.
Anybody who follows the NBA knows that they had the All-Star Weekend in Orlando. Part of that was the Rising Star Challenge, which featured 3 former Cats, more than any other team out there. Coach John Calipari hopes that is a trend that continues.
When you talk about us having 3 guys in that Rise game and no other school had more than 1, and I hope that's every year. I hope it's every year. Which means not only are they leaving to go to the league, they're performing. Josh Harrelson performing. You know, and I think when you look like that and you look at a guy like Darius, you know, it's taken him some time, but you know, at the end of the day, you know, he's going to be in the position he'd like to be in. You know, all these kids are on different timetables. Just because a young man stays 3 years, 4 years, doesn't mean, well, the guy that's 1 or 2 years. No, they're just on different timetables.
An interesting point, somebody like John Wall was ready to go before he ever stepped foot on UK's campus. He's ready to go to the league. It's taken Darius Miller 4 years to get there. Mike Gilchrist may decide to stay another year. Who knows? That would be outrageous to get there. And it doesn't matter, as Calipari says, as long as they succeed once they get there. And so far, his track record is outstanding.
Up next in Game Time Storylines, we're talking about the Geek Squad, and we're talking about how Rick Pitino believes that technology has enabled Big East teams to so successfully scout each other that nobody can score any points. But he may have a solution for Louisville.
I think we're playing too much half-court basketball. I think that's what, you know, when you're walking it up and getting into sets, and the other team, see, here's what happens. Every single thing that we run is put on tape, and we put theirs on tape. So everybody knows every single thing you're going to run. If you walk the ball up the floor and get into it. So everybody choreographs their they have time to choreograph their defense. If you sprint the ball up the floor, even if you don't get a fast break, it's difficult to get them to understand what you're running because they're moving. And that's what we got to get back to.
And that's really the reason that a freelancer like Russ Smith is so valuable to a team, because you just can't scout him. You can't figure out what he's going to do. And I think somewhat Shane Bohannon's that same way. You give him the ball in the post and he's going to do something creative with it. And that's really what Louisville needs right about now.
When we come back, we've got a beloved senior in blue and our own beloved red headache, Mr. Howie Lindsay, here to tell us about the Louisville Sports Report.
Absolutely. You got to check out the Louisville Sports Report. It's online at LouisvilleSportsNews.com. It's also on CardinalSports.com. And you need to check out all the videos that we've got and all the post-game stuff that we've got on CardinalSports.com. You can become a premium member and get all the recruiting videos that you possibly want and access to all the Rivals.com national content. So check it out, CardinalSports.com.
Have you driven a Ford lately? Well, stop by Allstate Ford and test drive a new Edge or Explorer. Or visit us online at allstatetrucks.com. Allstate Ford on the Watterson at Poplar Level Road.
Hi, I'm Kevin Renfro, owner of the Becker Law Office. Our focus is personal injury law. I've been asked if that means just car wrecks. Not at all. We help people who have been injured because of unsafe conditions, product defects, drug side effects, denial of disability benefits, and other tragic injuries. No matter how you've been injured, call the Becker Law Office.
Serious, experienced, results. Call the Becker Law Office for a free evaluation. Just dial 3s.
When you need a truck, Bachman Chevrolet is your truck headquarters. I'm Teresa Bachman. Even during our construction, we have more trucks than any other dealer. Silverado, Colorado, Tahoe, or Suburban, Bachman is your #1 Chevrolet truck dealer. Nobody beats Bachman's price or selection on any Chevrolet, including Traverse and Equinox. Chevrolet has what you need, and Bachman Chevrolet has what you want. Bachman makes the difference.
We're the secret family. Our family is just like yours.
We have a lot to be thankful for.
We used to take a lot of things for granted, including each other.
Until one day,
when in an instant,
a drunk driver almost took it all away. Now we cherish every moment together.
We have to.
Because we might not be as lucky next time.
What about you? It happened to us.
It can happen to you.
Join the club at Sam Swope Auto Group. When you service a vehicle at any Sam Swope dealership, you automatically become a Service VIP Rewards member. You get member pricing on parts and service, lost key return, and emergency roadside assistance. Plus, you can earn points that qualify you for discounts on your next vehicle purchase, up to $2,500. The best part is becoming a member is free. Become a member today at any Sam Swope dealership. Nobody walks away because everybody saves.
The 2012 Bluegrass Golf Tour Card is available now. Play 8 great courses for one amazing price. Call 502-964-2121 or go to shop21live.com to get yours now. Hurry, they won't last long.
What needs fixing on the Red and Blue Review? Brought to you by Doug Jones Home Improvement.
And what needed fixing at the University of Kentucky was Darius Miller's career when John Calipari arrived.
Well, when I first got here, of all the players that I watched, and this is before any of the freshman class came in, he had a better feel for the dribble drive than anybody there. And I was pleasantly surprised. And then I said, how much did he play? 2 minutes a game. What? You know, so obviously there were two different styles of play. But, you know, I liked what I saw. New coach comes in, a bunch of new players, adapts, changes his game somewhat, accepts other good players, and then responds and gets better every year. Will be an NBA player, no doubt in my mind.
Cal went on to say that Darius Miller completes every player. We've got a Jerry Maguire reference. UK fans, he had you at hello.
What needed fixing at Louisville was Russ Smith's free throws going into that South Florida game.
Man, that's why I was upset at it for the most part. Like, it probably seemed like I was upset at like everything else. So me being taken out, that definitely wasn't it. It was free throws. I was just yesterday. I was talking about how I don't miss from the free throw line, and I missed 3 today. So I gotta get back in the gym. That's my bread and butter.
He did get back in the gym. He improved his free throw stroke. He hit his free throws against South Florida. Trouble is, he didn't hit a whole lot of other shots. So a little tough right there.
Absolutely a little tough. That will do it for us today. We do appreciate you joining us. Gary will be back before you know it. We appreciate you joining us today on the Red and Blue Review.
The Red and Blue Review has been brought to you by PNC Bank, Allstate Ford Truck Sales, and the Muhammad Ali Center.
The 2012 Bluegrass Golf Tour Card featuring Chariot Run, Bardstown Country Club at Maywood, Rosewood Country Club, Indian Springs, Cave Valley Golf Resort, the Falls Golf Resort, the Bull, and Stonecrest Golf Course is available now. Get your golf tour card and play 8 great courses with cart for one low price. Call 502-964-2121 or go to shop21live.com to get yours now. You can play anytime, but you must get your golf tour card now.